Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back with another recording of Hearthstone. Today is Wednesday, February 21st. We're going through the news and we're working on the Divine Shield minions on the European account right now. It doesn't really matter if I get this done because I'll probably trade this out by Friday anyways. In a weird twist of fate, it's just easier to get a Divine Shield minion right now by playing this Tavern Brawl and play 3 more Divine Shield minions that way than it is to make a new Divine Shield deck. I suppose in the longer term I should just not be lazy and make a Divine Shield deck. That makes a lot more sense. But I don't want to do that today, so I'll have to do that next time. Tragic Master said, I forgot to mute the mic before I went pee. I just heard it. For you to hear it, you would have to have really good hearing because the bathroom in my house is no less than 20 yards away. What you heard is, and I knew people were going to hear this, is I have 2 containers. One is a, what is it? A RTIC metal thermos that had ice in it, and I had drunken all of the water in the ice, the water out, and there was still ice. And then I have another mug full of water, and I was pouring the water from one mug into the other container that had ice. Which is something I typically do, is I will have 2 large mugs of water because frankly I need it. I need a drink right now even. Here. But like talking so much during these live streams is really a struggle. That's the #1 thing. If I ever in the history of being in school, whether it was elementary school, middle school, or whatever, if I ever came across anybody who just talked and never stopped talking, looking back on it, I should have been encouraging them to continue to talk, because going on what is effectively a long filibuster of a speech turned out to be a useful skill in the world of YouTube, whereas I'm sure the teachers hated it when students talk, but it's certainly the something that I have had to develop on my case too, because I'm not a big talker. When I was in school, I almost never talked. Like, really silent, and perhaps that's why I'm such a big talker now. And there was a lot of reasons for it. For the most part, I just didn't... There's really no kind way to say this, but I didn't care about my fellow students at all. I didn't feel any kind of kinship or anything with them, so, like, I looked down on them. I thought they were stupid. Frankly, they relatively were stupid. That's why they were in school, and so I didn't try to have communication or friendships with them, and I was very much a loner. I was very much a wallflower, just not communicating with anybody. And in the rare cases in which I did talk to people, it was at best only successful half the time, because people do not like to talk to people who are smarter than them. It just doesn't work that way, and so they will just usually ostracize those people and make fun of them. So yeah, it's lonely to be being smart. Raise your kids to be dumb. Well, not really dumb, just same level as everybody else their age. Moving on, Tim Schafer is gonna receive the, I don't know if win is even the right term. He's receiving the BAFTA Fellowship Award. I need to make this page a little bit bigger, zoom in. Tim Schafer is the person who's running Double Fine. Supposedly Double Fine is making the new Psychonauts game, although I kind of wonder sometimes whether it's ever going to get finished, particularly since the Kickstarter for System Shock's remake is now on hiatus, and that game may never get finished at this rate. It's a little weird that he would receive the British Academy of Film, Theatre and Arts Fellowship Award on April 12th, because I'm pretty sure he's not British. He worked on things like Full Throttle, Day of the Tentacle, Grim Fandango. Like his more recent Double Fine things that he was the boss of aren't even mentioned here because they're not worth mentioning. So like Broken Age is not gonna get mentioned here. It's been presented to John Carmack, this award, David Brabin of Rockstar Games, Gabe Newell of Valve, Peter Molyneux, and Shigeru Miyamoto, and Will Wright. So there's been a wide variety of people who are not British receiving this award, which I guess inherently, if you're going to have a British award, you probably are going to have to spread out and give that award to non-British people, or you're barely going to be able to find one person per year to give it to. That being said, BAFTA tries to be this prestigious Emmy-like organization for video games. I'm not sure it really succeeds. When you really think about British TV in particular, it seems like an odd thing that any of that would deserve to be an award, because so much of British TV is not that good, and not that American or Western TV is that good either, or anybody's TV is really that good. It's just thinking out loud here. Even though Doctor Who is very beloved, I seriously doubt any Doctor Who episode deserves an award. Maybe you could find Don't Blink deserved an award, and I think Blink won a couple. But your average Doctor Who per season doesn't have an episode like Don't Blink in it. And a lot of their TV shows are just comedies and trashy. On the other hand, their theater is high quality, usually, from what I hear. So if you were going to give somebody some props, it would be Britain for their theater. Of course, that really doesn't have much to do with Tim Schafer. Like, that's what really breaks this down, is there's a lack of credibility here, because there's really no reason why Tim Schafer deserves an award this year. He has done literally nothing that I can think of. I don't even think they really released a game other than the remake of Full Throttle. So maybe there's some internal conversation happening where people know that he's going to retire, which wouldn't be a terrible thing, honestly, if that was the case. And he certainly seems like he's old enough to retire. And maybe he just wants to get that award now before it's done, before he's out of the business. That being said, why not retire first and then get the award, like a Lifetime Achievement Award or something. But whatever. Man, I still need one more shielded minion before I can get over to the America's account. Like, here they mention Brutal Legend, bad gameplay mechanic, great story. I can't believe that they still haven't just remade that game. Just take the assets, improve it, take out the platforming gameplay mechanic that you're in love with, make it an action adventure game, and get a new audience on there. Like, it's the simplest, like, most obvious thing to do in the video game industry is fix Brutal Legend to make it playable. Not even that much. They probably have lost the licenses at this point to all the music that was in it, like Ozzy Osbourne and heavy metal, things like that. Moving on, the co-op arcade racer Trailblazers has been announced for the PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and PC. Is there some kind of acronym, like initialism I can create here? Let's see, the 4, the 1, the Switch, and the PC. The S and the PC.
Reporting for duty.
No, like, since there were all kind of initialisms to begin with, like PlayStation 4 is shortened to PS4 and Xbox One is, well, not shortened for anything, but and Switch. Like, I could say for the consoles and PC, that's about as much as I can do. Anyways, this game is from Codemasters Bizarre, well, former staff that worked at Codemasters, Bizarre Creations, and Lionhead. So it's a combination of 3 companies that potentially have failed, like, recently. That being said, that really isn't a valid criticism on the game, because it's usually, in my opinion, the management that makes companies fail. So this is Rising Star Games and an independent developer, Supergonk, which Supergonk is the former Codemasters, Bizarre Creations, and Lionhead. And it might be like one person from Codemasters, one from Bizarre Creations, and one from Lionhead. Trailblazers is a fresh new co-op racing game with the innovative track mechanic. Paint your track, boost on your color, and work as a team to win. Oh! So this is a racing game that has effectively the Splatoon mechanic without running around using Super Soakers and instead using racing cars. And it looks kind of F-Zero-ish with that mechanic. Frankly, though, you could probably take the painting mechanic and add more features that aren't around the painting mechanic and open it up a little bit more. That could just be one of several features. The idea of teamwork is great, except for it means that I will never play the game. But this one looks good. Has an alcohol reference, but it's rated E for everyone. It looks very, very much like F-Zero, but perhaps definitely more colorful. And it seems like you can't paint anything but the road. So the road itself looks like it's digital, and it gets digitally painted when you either use a power-up or you just drive over it. I guess it seems like you have to have a power-up. Just gonna kill these guys. And kill this one. Play split screen online. That's kind of cool, but why would I want to have to look at somebody else's screen online? I guess because you're playing co-op, you have to see what your player's doing. That's going to be very hard to pay attention to. All these cars are like hover cars. They look good enough. The number of tracks I'm seeing seems a little bit low, but that might just be that they haven't announced all the tracks yet. Let's see. Do we have any information about when this is coming out? Let's see, play online either solo or together with split screen buddies. So you can play single player, so there might be enough here. They're even going for like Mac and Linux versions. But yep, this game is just announced. There's no links, no announcement dates, no price. Keep an eye out for that one. That one seems like that one might be pretty good. The game Rad Rogers is 25% off, so it's $15 right now. It was, let's see, released just a few days ago. It's one of those old school platformer style games, I guess is the best way you describe it.
To battle.
It looks really good. Why is it not in my wish list is the question.
Reporting for duty.
Let's see. It's supposed to be like a spiritual successor to Commander Keen. There's duels. Brad Rogers has this gun pack on him. He shoots guns, he jumps, he platforms, he shoots. It seems pretty fast paced, maybe a little too fast paced for me in this demo, but that could just be advertising. Seems like you get gravity boots where you can walk upside down and you can go into different dimensions. It's like kind of everything that you'd ever want. So we'll put that on the wish list. Why is it rated M? That's confusing. Seriously, it's rated M. Fully voice acted in English and German and subtitled in several other languages. Like, so yeah, check out Rad Rogers, see if you're interested. Did we get that one Divine Shield? No, we did not. Let's see. Knights of Pen and Paper 2 came out with a new free-to-play version, so now there's Knights of Pen and Paper 2 free edition. Looking at this game, these are kind of just things that were announced directly by Steam, by the way. I just want to cover them.
I will fight with
A lot of those I ignore, don't see. It really does look like you're playing a pen and paper style RPG and just ever so slightly integrating that into a video game RPG. Most of the screens have the main characters sitting on one side of a table with effectively a dungeon master on the other side of the table, and sometimes in the background you'll see like a visual depiction of, I think, what they're telling you is happening, what the dungeon master is saying. That doesn't look super interesting.
Job's done.
And there are in-app purchases, and see, that just doesn't seem like that's a good idea. And here they have a link down here where they say specifically, sick of corporate greed and cheap money grabbing? Go back to the roots and check out the true retro gaming. Buy Knights of Pen and Paper 2 for $8. And in all honesty, if I wanted to play either one of these games, I would totally recommend just spending the $8 straight up and not having it be a free-to-play game. Like, it's rated very positive at $8, and it has a deluxeist edition and a dragon bundle. Like, honestly, I'm not interested in either one of these games, but you'll probably spend more than $8 in the long run if you go into the microtransaction one. Don't play free editions. Don't encourage this. We don't need the video game markets. We don't need Steam filled with twice as many games because every single game is a paid version and a free-to-play version. And honestly, that doesn't fix the bigger issue of companies like Ubisoft and EA who make you pay the full price of a $60 game and then put in microtransactions. Like, supporting smaller companies that don't do that isn't going to send the right message. There's also an early access game called Abandoned Ship. It's another Year of the Pirate type game. It's rated positive. It looks fine if you want to play a pirate game. Let's see, single player? Yeah, single player with Steam trading cards. Yeah, but I don't think so. I think I'm going to strongly avoid any Year of the Pirate games this year. Any pirate games this year at all until we see a true victor come out of the fight. PC Gamer has an article, Intel explains why we don't have 10 gigahertz processors by now. Heat is only part of the problem. It's space, really. If we could move it to the point where the entire backside of a mini ATX motherboard was a CPU, you probably could get a 10 gigahertz processor, but the heat would be a huge issue. You'd need to just strap on a giant fan to the system, and it would be very expensive. We'll get there eventually, but it's gonna take a while. I'm really surprised that we even have made it so far as we have, and really they've done tricks to get up to even 4 gigahertz. I honestly didn't think that they would ever be able to sell something much higher than a 2.4 gigahertz processor for many years, and they really haven't, because there's not, to my knowledge, any CPU that has a core frequency of 2.4 gigahertz. They're usually 800 gigahertz, maybe 1000, maybe 1200 gigahertz on the core frequency, and then they add more cores to double it, and they add more ways to describe it as something more than what it is. Let's do this. Kill this one. And this one.
For justice.
They're also in this article talking about the initial execution and just the way that instructions are handled. And so as you're working on speeding up multi-threaded processing, it complicates the issue, certainly, to have multi-threaded commands that have to be executed, some of which have to be executed in order, some of which don't. The Spectre bug is a way in which they were trying to speed that up by speculating and running commands that hadn't even been asked to be run, just so they have the answer already. So, for instance, if you ask the computer what's 2 plus 2, it might go ahead and say, well, what's 2 plus 2 plus 2? Get that answer. It might go, what's 2 plus 2 plus times 2? It might get that answer too. It might just speculate what the next execution might be. Which inherently that's not a bad idea, it's just the way they went about and did it. This PC Gamer article, as I'm skimming over it though, isn't really really giving it justice as far as my understanding of the issue. It's kind of putting everything on the conveyor layer, which is integral to the superscalar structure, which that's a whole bunch of words that doesn't probably mean too much to many people. I think the layout of CPUs need to be rethought out to in more of a 3D environment. When we went to when we went to 3D NAND flash memory, that was a major improvement on the speed and the amount of storage we could have in flash memory, and that's why we're seeing SSD hard drives that are way bigger and faster. Let's see. If we go to a more 3D technology for CPUs, that would be very nice. However, going from a flat technology to a 3D technology increases the heat again, so there's ways they've got to work around that. Let's see. There's an announcement here from Call of Duty World War II. Hey PC community, we just gifted all PC players 3 free resistance supply drops to make up for you guys missing out on the winter bribe during the Winter Siege event. All you have to do is log into Call of Duty World War II multiplayer before Tuesday, February 27th, 10 a.m. Pacific time. We apologize for the initial frustration. So somebody's just trying to make make good there. If you play Call of Duty World War II multiplayer, now would be a time to log in, I suppose. Can't believe I had to waste that card. That's a good card too.
For justice.
There's a game called Double Kick Heroes in which you blast zombies and sharks from an armored Cadillac in a metal rhythm shooter style game. It's early access April 11. It's coming to Steam some point in April. So you got your 2D 8-bit graphics, and you're on the right. There's a band in a metal Cadillac that's playing music and shooting guns, and at the bottom is a 3-lane music bar in which you're
reporting for duty. For justice.
In which you're trying to match the 3 buttons, and then when you match the 3 buttons, you shoot the enemies that are coming from the left of the screen. I don't know. I don't know about this one. I'll follow this game, but any music game comes with a grain of salt, and like there's nothing super wrong with this other than the fact that the music bar is only at the bottom, like maybe 1/6 of the screen, so you'll spend so much time keeping focus on the bottom of the screen you won't even look at the animation or anything at the top. And I don't know exactly how much of this is really connected. Like, can you play the song perfectly and still lose because the enemies are still attacking and they're stronger? One would assume no, but can you potentially be playing the song pretty decently and still lose because you made just a few mistakes? I would assume the answer to that is kind of yes. And if hopefully there would be a free play mode for something like that. That's what I would really want. And see, they're trying to tell a story, and you can import your own music, which inherently I guess I can't do that on YouTube. This would be a hard game to cover on YouTube anyways. But Double Kick Heroes is there for the people who might want to play it. Twitch has this indie amplifier thing where they want you to vote on indie games to vote on upcoming indie games given away to Twitch Prime members. So
Greetings.
I guess I should vote and decide which game I would want to vote on. I don't know specifically who, though, or which one I would actually want to vote on, because I haven't heard of most of these games. And they actually are doing it in such a way that they're pushing you to watch specific streamers play these indie games, so these people have early access and special access. So they're really promoting streamers here. And it all seems to be two streamers in particular, one called Dizzy Kitten and one called Simcopter 1. Some of these games don't look that good. Some of the the one I would say is there's one called I Hope that looks kind of interesting, and then the rest of them are pretty dull looking. Maybe Tomb of Annihilation would catch my attention. It seems like they're doing an event there that I frankly don't want any attention in. It's been 1 year, by the way, since the PlayStation game Psychonauts in the Rhombus of Ruin, the PSVR game, came out. So it was released February 21st, 2017, and we still haven't seen the next Psychonauts game. And that's kind of all that was supposed to be, was a tease, a stall between the release of the next Psychonauts game and this. And it just didn't happen.
Reporting for duty. Duty calls. To battle.
Let's go kill this and this. So since it's a PSVR game that I don't think ever came to PC, yeah, a lot of people aren't going to play Psychonauts in the Rhombus of Ruin. Not that it really was that good anyways. That's Netflix provides a first look in the Lost in Space reboot. This has nothing to do with video games. I was just gonna watch that video. There was something slightly interesting in the movie reboot of Lost in Space. The idea of a family lost in space and having to be a family in a whole new environment doesn't immediately just collapse. It's a decent plot, but there were some problems, I think, with it just being a movie, and it being the Lost in Space movie kind of was more interested in showing off spacesuits that were way too dark and black, and in this Netflix one all the spacesuits are bright yellow. This family looks like a real family. I hope it acts like a real family. Like you kind of have to tweak and improve the writing and the storyline a little bit in Lost in Space. They were very much writing in the movie to a stereotype. So one of the older girls was written to be just a teenage brat. One of them was written to be the love interest with the one male character that was the romance interest. The Will Robinson character was written to be too childish. The bad guy characters were written to be was written to be a little bit too cowardly. The robot was designed to look too robot-y. Everything was just playing to some major stereotypes, in my opinion, that suffered from believability issues. The Let's Play Gaming Expo that was going to have the Fighting February at the National Video Game Museum on the 24th listed some of the games that they'll be playing, so I was interested to see what this fighting game tournaments that happened on the hour, I believe is what they said, on the hour, every hour. So they're going to be playing Marvel vs. Street Fighter for the Saturn, Killer Instinct for the Super NES, King of Fighters for the Xbox 360, Marvel vs. Capcom 2 for the PS2, Soul Calibur 2 for the GameCube, and Boxing for the Atari. So those are some old games at the National Video Game Museum, and yeah, you're not seeing any Dragon Ball Fighters there. You're not seeing any Tekken 6s or Street Fighter 5s or BlazBlue games. Speaking of fighting games, there has been now at least one interview article that was a little hostile to the creators of the game, SNK Female Fighters. What is it? SNK Heroine Fighters or something. Well, the one with the girls that are in the bikinis and the cowl outfits, and it's all flashy. It's something tag. It's a tag fighting game. I know that much. Like, yep. And it was Game Informer. I follow Game Informer on Twitter, but I have them muted, so I didn't even see their article. Like, inherently, this is the thing we just go around in circles. Is the Japanese want to make a game that's a little bit lewd, and the second they even do a little bit of lewdness in them, just even fancy bikini things, they get yelled at, and then they don't want to release the games to the rest of the world. And they take that message and are very sensitive about it, and they take the message that they get from the minority, which is often the mainstream United States video game reviewers, to mean that everybody has that same feelings, and it's not the case. Because I love lewd games, and I think a lot of people do. A lot of people probably aren't as honest to admit it, but I do. I like when the artists can express themselves in any ways they want. When you think about all of the ancient Greek statues, those are often characters of the female and male form in some form of undress and lewdness, and if some people had their way, they would completely smash all those statues, and we would lose a historical piece of art. In fact, there are people in the world right now trying to destroy pieces of history because they don't fall in line with their idea of the way things should be done. And I don't want to see the video game industry, which is a very new form of art, to become legislated or destroyed or hurt by people who have agendas that are not going to be helpful for the video game industry. But let's not get into too much of a rant there, because I already have another rant in my pocket. The Rocket League Tournaments beta is live now. Good to know. So I don't actually need to do this. I probably will trade this out. So let's go over to the Americas account. It's been a while since we've actually made it to a recording where we make it to the Americas account. So, yep, that is a interesting thought. Certainly, if you're still playing Rocket League and you want to enter the tournaments, that's going to bring some more reason to play. I'm not interested in Elite Dangerous, but their 3rd season kicks off. So next week, and they're going to have a massive free update on console and PC. I want to see Elite Dangerous finish itself and be a final product. I think it isn't right now, but maybe it is. But I mean, if it's doing season and it's adding content, they think it's a sellable product at the very least. These space games though don't really get me. I'm just not that interested in them. Alright, this time we need to play a bunch of rogue cards and get Druid and Hunter. Let's take a Tavern Brawl and play Rogue. Rogue, where are you hiding over here? There you go. Rovio is partnered with Game Show Network's games for cash wagering Angry Birds games. So let's see. It's a cash wagering take on its popular bird flinging game franchise Angry Birds. Angry Birds Champion isn't a new standalone game from Rovio. However, the title, which Engadget said was created in conjunction with the game's original developer, appears on Game Show Network's Games World Winner Real Money Tournament game platform. This sounds bad. Just on the face of it, this sounds like this is going to cause some legislation woes. It's a notable jump from the veteran mobile game franchise, especially during a period of time where concerns about the relationship between gambling and video games are at a high point. In Angry Birds Champions, players pay a fee to enter a tournament and compete for a high score. Whichever player walks away at the top of the leaderboard does so with a cash prize in their pocket, while World Winner insists the skill-based nature of the competition doesn't qualify as gambling. Those cash-based tournaments aren't available in 10 US states because of local gambling regulations. So Rovio has literally just given up. Like, that's pretty much what they're saying. They know that there is no more money for them to get out of the Angry Birds franchise. They've gotten their movies, they've gotten their licenses with Lego and other toy creators, and I wouldn't be surprised if there actually aren't any
I don't have enough mana.
I wouldn't be surprised if there aren't any toys even getting released this year at the New York Toy Fair for Angry Birds. That might be part of this too. And so now they're just going with Game Show Network's attempt to milk. The funny thing is, Game Show Network, for the most part, is targeting lonely housewives too. It's a TV station at the first of it. Let's do this. And then do this. And then do this. And then attack here. And
justice is mine.
Attack here. And return. So yeah, Angry Birds. Down the toilet it goes. There's again, I guess I'm just gonna start talking about some technology stuff, I guess, as news happens, because I might as well just let most of the news I'm seeing. There's this new iSIM technology that can combine your smartphone's processor and SIM card into one. It can free up space for more RAM and bigger batteries. In all realisticness, though, you're not freeing up that much space. Like, I don't think so, because, and that really isn't the best idea in the first place, because unless you can take out the RAM and the battery too, you're gonna want to upgrade most people are going to want to upgrade everything at once.
Justice is
Like,
mine.
you're going to want new, faster RAM when you have a new, faster processor with a new, fresh battery. You're not going to want to take your 4-year-old cell phone where the battery is totally dead, plug in a new processor that isn't really even needed because your screen isn't that high resolution. Like, this seems like a way to jip people. And then when you think about the idea of the processor being on the SIM card, you're not really saving any space, because directly under the SIM card has to be the metal pieces that read the SIM card connection points. And when you're talking a processor, that's usually a surface soldered mounted device where there's a lot of connection points under the under a processor. That doesn't work for anything. Like, I'm supposed to just be playing rogue cards right now, so I want to make sure I don't die. Yeah, I don't see how this would work as a technology. If you're gonna do that, here's the better thought. Why not have a standard interconnection to a display and a battery and connection ports? So you have something that is bigger than a SIM card by, let's say, 8 times as big. And on that is your processor, your SIM card, your memory, and all the other circuitry. And then the only thing that's in your cell phone would be the screen, the battery, the connections to the cameras, speakers, microphones, USB connector, and all of that would just connect through some bus. That would make more sense. Then all the major things that people are concerned about would be fixed. Let's do this. Do this. Yes, just do that.
Justice is mine.
Do that. Single turn. Anyways, moving on. Back to video games. There's a game called Pit People that launches March 2nd. It's from the Behemoth. Let's see. It's leaving Xbox Game Preview and Steam Early Access on March 2nd. Let's watch a video of it. I think it's kind of the idea of Castle Crashers continued. Single player story mode, 2 versus 2, 4 versus 4 players, 2 versus 2 in the pit online. I'm watching the trailer right now, and there's literally nothing happening in the trailer. 2 damage to an undamaged guy. 2 damage to an undamaged guy.
Thank you.
Justice is mine.
Let's look at their Steam page for Pit People.
Quickly.
It's kind of a top-down isometric game. It's not a side-scroll brawler. So I've kind of lost its attention. It lost all of my attention immediately there because I was just expecting something different. It doesn't look anything special really. It's rated teen, it's rated very positive. Let's see. If I click developer, the Behemoth, they did make Castle Crashers. I did like Castle Crashers as a game, so maybe I'd like Pit people, but maybe not. Heck, let's consider it later. I'll put it on my wish list. I'd try it out. Certainly would try it out. This costs 3 less. Well, if this costs 3 less, then it would still not be playable.
Careful. Thank you.
Justice is mine.
Let's just go ahead and get rid of people. Let's see. There's some first screenshots out for Hyper Dimension Neptunia Rebirth 1. It looks like a JRPG. This PlayStation 4 titles an enhanced port of the game, which was on the Vita. Let's see. It'll come out May 31st in Japan. I suspect it might come out to the rest of the world too. That sounds like a big enough game. We already talked about that. Final Fantasy XV's co-op expands with its PC launch. It says Rock Paper Shotgun. Let's see. Well, that's working. It's slowly working, but it's working. So, Comrades is a surprisingly beefy online multiplayer expansion which came late to the console version. Let's see. New players might want to hold off on launching straight into Comrades instead alongside Chapter 13 of the main story, quite near the end of the primary quest arc. Each player steps in the shoe of a handmade avatar starting at level 1, receives mission for some of the more regular NPCs, sending you and your party of up to 3 friends out into the world to do all kinds of stuff that the boy band protagonists are too busy for. So, okay, yeah. More gameplay, multiplayer co-op stuff for Final Fantasy 15 if you still haven't had your fill of Final Fantasy 15. I'm not gonna bother to read this article, but PC Gamer has an article called Kingdom Come Deliverance Dev explains patch process, targets respec potion, and pit pocketing. So that's probably not too much to do with anything unless you're interested in Kingdom Come Deliverance, which I'm not. Yes, Shaq Fu. I'm still trying to find Shaq Fu and get that on my Steam account. I'm just gonna drag that tab out.
Quickly.
Your Gamer has an article. Minecraft shows off nearly 2 hours of the upcoming Minecraft Bedrock edition for Switch, which let's just kind of skip around and see what content we can actually see. It doesn't look exactly like the Pocket Edition with the bar at the bottom at all times, so it probably is a better version, something between the Pocket Edition and the most possibly featured version of this Java version. There is a new Skyblocker, Sky Castle, what is it? Sky Island version of one of the popular, I think it's an FTB mod of Minecraft. I started watching Direwolf 20, who's pretty big into playing those on YouTube. Started watching him again. It's really hard to watch what is probably the 8th or 9th time I've seen somebody play Skyblock though. So, and particularly Direwolf 20 has probably played it 8 or 9 times. Let's see. In a slight continuation of my worry about whether Psychonauts 2 is ever going to get out of production, Double Fine has an immediate opening for a gameplay programmer for the San Francisco development studio on the Psychonauts 2 team. And what happened there? The page just reloaded. And the responsibilities would build new features, tools within the Unreal Engine 4. And see, that makes a lot of sense that they wouldn't be able to, they don't know how to use Unreal Engine 4 because I don't think they've programmed in anything in it. Or even Unreal Engine 3. Collaborate with art and design and other engineers to develop and support key systems. Communicate with other departments to understand problems and inefficiencies, design and code solutions. Ensure newly developed engine systems are maintained for code cleanliness, performance, and extensibility. Requirements: at least 2 years professional experience working on modern game engines, demonstrated proficiency in C++.
Justice is mine.
Knowledge of common data structures and algorithms, proficient with linear algebra and general 3D models. That was an awkward pause right there, sorry. Demonstrated ability to take technical issues across a variety of areas of game. Take on technical issues. Demonstrated ability to implement features that improves gameplay and player experience. Ability to communicate and collaborate efficiently with programmers, artists, and designers. Ability to write clean, readable, reliable, and portable code. Now, there is probably an argument to hiding all your code so they can't fire you, but frankly, you'll get fired for doing that anyways. So you might as well always just write clean and efficient and readable code. Let's see. A natural curiosity for all aspects of game development and willingness to work in a wide variety of systems, a constant striving to learn and grow, a strong passion for video games and video game development. So many video game job listings, they don't even care if you care about video games, which is kind of fine. Like, whatever. Like, you don't have to be passionate about burgers to work at Burger King. That's certainly true. But more surprisingly, a lot of job listings don't want you to have a striving to learn and grow. A lot of companies don't want you to get any better because then they'll have to pay you more. They're afraid of giving you a raise so much that they don't even want to increase the ability of their employees. Plus, there's one or more ship titles using Unreal Engine 3 or 4, at least they're being realistic there. It's highly unlikely somebody would have an Unreal Engine 4 release game and be looking for a new job. Experience in developing games for PS4 and Xbox One, experience for developing action-adventure games, experience for rapid development languages like C# and Python. They don't care about Switch. Now, they are also looking for a senior environment concept artist for Psychonauts 2, a visual effects artist for an unannounced IP, an animator for an unannounced IP, a senior programmer for Psychonauts 2, a general application in case you don't see a job, and then they have a picture of a dancing bunny at the bottom for no reason. So apparently they were looking for an office bunny and they filled it, and now they have pictures of the office bunny. Here they have a title, we're always recruiting everybody all the time, which probably means they're not spending enough time making games.
Side effects.
They're also looking for an environmental artist, unannounced IP. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different listings for jobs in Double Fine right now. That's kind of a surprisingly high number considering the number of employees at Double Fine doesn't really go into the range of 100. Honestly, maybe 100, but I would say there's probably about 60 employees in total. And if you've got 10% of your workforce is missing, that says something crazy. Let's go back. I'm trying to dance around a rant here that I may or may not have because I haven't read the article yet. This, and then this, and this, and then attack, and then wait. So let's scroll back on Twitter. So here's Team YouTube. Hey everyone, today's issues are fixed with Creative Studio. Video edits and uploads are working on desktop and mobile. The dollar icons are back for channels with monetization enabled. There was no lost revenue as it was only an icon issue. Sure. Like, believing YouTube on anything these days is clearly the wrong mistake. Let's see. Moving on. Oh, Gabe Newell has a son apparently, and surprisingly, Gabe Newell's son actually looks like he works out. He is healthy looking, and like he looks like he's 22, 23. He's got his own startup company, which I'm sure that being Gabe Newell and having money to play with probably helps. Apparently Gabe Newell married his wife the same day he started Valve, and he's been pretty quiet about any kind of family life things. But I mean, Gabe Newell doesn't talk to the public that much anyways, so what do you expect?
Justice is mine.
And yeah, so PC Gamer has an article, Gabe Newell's son thinks Valve needs to try something new. I didn't watch all of the interview with Valve News Network, which is where the PC Gamer is stealing this content from, literally. But even Gabe Newell's son tried to talk to people to use Source 2 as their engine, and nobody inside that he could talk to inside of Valve with his special access knew what Source 2 could or could not do with any reliability. So they so he kind of gave up on it immediately, because like they just like everybody just does whatever they want. It's not an efficiently run corporation, even being successful as it is. And for that reason, like you can't trust Source 2 to have features. Like, will this engine have DirectX 12 support? Maybe, maybe not. Ask this guy, ask that guy. And he was getting passed around in circles. And so, yeah. Yeah, communication's a problem. Keeping people on task, keeping people informed. Let's see. I'm scrolling down my Twitter to see if there's anything else to talk about.
I wonder.
I wonder if Tragic, who's spectating me, has a watch and learn.
Justice is mine.
I kind of assume he does. Let's see. I probably need to stop watching ThinkGeek on Twitter. They're just selling me cool gadgets and that's it. Oh, Morgan Webb of XPlay tweeted publicly. Every time she tweets publicly, I'm pretty sure she's doing it on accident because she only does it once a year. Which that pretty much seems like an accident to me. I'm pretty sure she is she's privately tweeting to other people, but she has like a circle of friends that she's talking to. Morgan Webb not really have done anything in the industry since XPlay. She hosted a few hosted a few game show events, and that's kind of it. Like, acted as host, and she was a host on XPlay, so that makes sense. Without Adam Sessler, who's too old to be really a host anymore or do much of anything, and he's kind of out of the business, and fine for him, since he worked really hard, probably too hard. Very possibly the hardest working person ever in the video game news reporting industry. Like, it would certainly be a winning move if Morgan Webb showed up on a website like Kotaku or Giant Bomb. I'd hate for her to be on Kotaku, but if she showed up and she was now on Giant Bomb and she was talking on every Beastcast or Bombcast, that would be good. Steam users can now choose to ignore curators they don't like. I think I'll probably be using that feature quite a bit. Like, there's some curators. Like, that feature kind of needed to have it. More people are interested in Metal Gear Survive than I would have thought, as far as the video game media that I'm follow. That's a little surprising. I thought people were going to
I wonder.
completely ignore that. Hearthstone aired on my channel. At some point on my channel, I need to go back and change all my playlists to have my name at the end, I think. And definitely, since none of them have descriptions, I need to go back and put descriptions in the playlists. Clearly, for the moment at least, I can still stream. Because I am streaming right now, even though I'm not... I'm partner verified, oddly. It says partner verified still on my channel, but I'm not eligible for monetization. So, like, the whole thing doesn't make a lot of sense.
Your soul
like, there we go. So, hopefully that helped Tragic in his watch and learn. And let's go ahead and open this pack. Yeah, my mouse is a little weak. I'm not getting good circles there. Probably time to clean the mouse. There you go. Maybe clean the mouse pad too. Let's see, scrolling down, Twitter. The most boring thing. Where are we here? Still need to cast spells, still need to play rogue cards. Still need to win 5 games with the Druid or Hunter. Like, I would definitely have to cheat to like, I definitely have to cheat to get the 5 victories, and where we were at like 8:15 in the evening, so I'm not gonna do any more recording today. Apparently there's a flaw on Tinder that lets anyone log into your account with just a phone number. Sounds like that's very possibly the same flaw of any service that ties your service to a phone number, which is don't trust the phone companies not to give your phone number to somebody else, because they will do it. The Destiny 2 development roadmap runs into some delays. Just skip that, I really couldn't care. Rise of the Tomb Raider aired on my channel 3 hours ago. I think we already talked about Rainbow Six Siege. Has no real plans to make a sequel. They want to have 100 different people, playable type of characters. That seems insane. Yeah, and that's all the news. So we're gonna probably take a moment to go to silent gameplay in a second, after a few minutes here. So let's go back through these news things. Let's see. Apparently, also Gabe Neal's son is the crazy boss baby from Half-Life 1. The giant evil baby monster is supposed to be me, he told the channel. When my mother was in childbirth, they were thinking, what's something really scary? And at the time, having a child seemed to be really scary for everyone. Okay.
I wonder.
Play this. Play this. Let's see. Play this. And
Incredible.
that. And then do that.
Job's done.
Let's see. His name is Graynull, by the way. G-R-A-Y. He loves drum and bass and doesn't really play many Valve games. Well, there aren't that many in the first place. His new game from his new company is a first-person shooter MMO with a user-created elements. It's going under the in-house name of Fury right now, but that is not the name it will have at the end. You're probably kidding yourself if he's somehow making Half-Life 3 in a different company. Like, yeah, PC Gamer just wrote a short bit.
Thank you.
Make my day.
In a weird way, we kind of needed Graynull to be rolled out a little bit earlier as the potential successor, if this is going to be a family affair of people who own and found Valve. But Valve was really only co-founded by Gabe Newell, so there's someone else who's a founder that probably has a say in it. Like, I hate to do this every time I talk about Gabe Newell, but he does not look healthy. And I would not be surprised if somebody told me in an hour he keeled over of a heart attack. And it's saddening, frankly, depressing how unhealthy he looks. And I'd love to see an article that says Gabe Newell's on a diet, Gabe Newell's exercising, Gabe Newell lost 100 pounds. There was a YouTuber that's really obese that's on a diet, and as soon as he started losing weight, he also got divorced. And that is typically how it goes: is you get divorced, you go through a breakup, and you hit the gym. apparently if you ignore enough Steam curators, Steam will just stop recommending any to you, which I guess that's fair enough if you hate them all, which honestly I kind of do hate all the Steam curators right now. They're not doing a great job. It's not a great system to work within in the first place, so I fully understand why they're not doing a great job.
Justice is mine.
Yeah, I really don't care about Destiny 2, so their development roadmap running into some delays doesn't matter to me. We already talked about that. We already talked about that. We already talked about that. And let's see. Jackbox Game has a gameplay software engineer for a Chicago, Illinois job. I think we might keep this job listing for a later time. And Phil Spencer, the Xbox CEO guy in charge, I believe, has come out and said that inclusivity is the key for success for a successful company culture. He was speaking at the DICE 2018 conference. You know, what's weird there is Microsoft is by far one of the most inclusive companies there is, because they hire / bring in foreign workers like crazy. There's a lot of overpaid employees, kind of like at Google, that they're overqualified for what they're doing, and they're working. Now, working at Microsoft is not great work, frankly, because they're kind of random about what they want to do, and they change their mind, and you just look at Windows 10 and oh, by the way, Windows 10 popped up a new program that wanted to access the internet, and I'm like, what is this thing? Because of the Fall Creators update. I'm like, just yet another thing to phone home, right, Microsoft? So let's see. One of his quotes, with Nadell at the helm, Spencer said, quote, "We hit the refresh on everything. Microsoft moved from a know-it-all culture to a learn-it-all culture." So that's been mischaracterized as we hit refresh on inclusivity to a we know it all on technology stuff. Like, so yeah. There's a quote, "Toxic behavior doesn't just hurt an individual, it hurts our community." That's some crazy talk, that you think your job as a community, like you're trying to make a cult at that point, not a office. One lesson is empathy and trust within the team. Yeah, not a super large amount of that at Microsoft from what I've heard, because everybody is backstabbing, everybody is working on the same thing or different versions of the thing, everybody is not communicating. In a weird way, I guess you might argue, I could have played that and I didn't, the Microsoft I've heard about kind of is an ineffective kind of toxic workplace, and it really has nothing to do with inclusivity. It has to do with poor management, frankly.
A tango?
Justice is
Playing.
mine.
I keep on winning here when I don't need to. Another lesson is accountability. Let's see. Yeah, they have a story. There was a Microsoft Run Party in GDC 2016 that featured scantily clad dancers drawing backlash from attendees. He reiterated that this was an unequivocally wrong, and it's the leader's job to absorb the hit and to be clear about our culture and what we stand for. In a weird way, like, that is like how far the mainstream video game people, not just the media in this case, but also video game developers have gone. They've gone from going to E3 and having effectively strippers show off the games and be booth babes to now it's completely unacceptable to have anybody scantily clad at all. Even if these scantily clad dancers were in some way integrated into the style of game you were selling. Even if you're selling like a adult-only sex game, you should have everybody fully clothed and acting professional at all times. And it's pretty much where it's gone to. Third was a lesson on a growth mindset. One of my biggest areas of a growth leader is to listen first instead of jumping in with supposed answers. And I think Bill Gates personally kind of did a lot of that, where he'd just jump in and he goes, I know this, but Bill Gates was smart. And inherently, since he's not really that focused on doing anything with Microsoft was left a little rudderless as far as a good, strong leader, and they've been trying to find somebody to replace him, and maybe the new guy that's in charge of it now can do it. Another lesson is listening and amplifying, which, you know what listening and amplifying often means when people use that phrase. It's shut up if you're not a minority of some kind. If you're a white male, shut up and listen. And then, after you've listened to what we're saying, repeat back what we just said with no disagreement whatsoever. That's pretty much how I take that phrase. I can't take it any other way. Lastly, they're highlighted on the leadership principles, which creates clarity, generates energy for the team, and delivers success.
Job's done.
That didn't work. So a lot of this is really just quote mining Phil Spencer, and I'm sure he may have gotten major applauses, but there's not a ton to be said here. I need 3 more rogue cards and 1 more spell, so 1 more game. But I guess I don't really have a rant on this one either. Like, behind closed doors, conversations like this and a lot worse happened all the time. And people come in with their own biases and they go out with their own interpretations, and I am not immune from that. I'm coming in with my own bias from all the other BS, which there's been a lot more clear and obvious BS to complain about than what was quote mined out of that speech. A lot of what he said is pretty much exactly what you legally are required to say, and you would say no matter what. Let's see. PC Gamer has built a gaming PC with the PC building simulator. It's still in early access though. I am not going to really cover this game until it's not in early access anymore, because I want to actually see if they put actual components in there. I was trying to find out, and I think I probably would have to just cut it directly out of aluminum myself. There's the I/O shield that you put on the back of computer cases, where the motherboard bumps up and connects most of its connections, the USB, the keyboard, the network, all of those things that aren't standard on any motherboard. That's called the input-output shield. That's aluminum and just snaps into your case. I was trying to see if anybody ever made one that would have the holes appropriate for a Raspberry Pi 3, but it really doesn't look like that anybody does. Which I suppose is fine. Like, if I really wanted to do that, there are some universal I/O shields you can find that you could just make your own thing with. If I was gonna do that, I was thinking maybe you could find a really small mini ITX computer case that looked like a computer case and put a Raspberry Pi in it, just so it was an interesting design. Not that a Raspberry Pi is particularly something you would want to use as your main PC. This and this, and then play this.
Hey, lights out.
Let's see. Northgard has a release date set. Northgard apparently is a early access game. Never heard of it. Let's watch the trailer. Skip forward. Top-down real-time strategy game. Looks kind of like Age of Heroes, but with Vikings, and you know, that interests me a little bit more than Age of Empires would. So it looks like there might be something slightly interesting here.
Lapdogs.
So let's see if I can find a Steam link. It's coming out March 7th on Steam. It'll cost you $30 when it launches. So I'll see if I can find that on Steam. And that would be another one to wish list and keep an eye on until the next sale. So there is a problem in doing the advertisement with the Steam sales because I need to do those pretty early. But after the Steam sale, I kind of need to go through my list and say, actually, I don't want this game, and since nobody bought this game for me that I asked for, even though I now that I come to think about it, don't actually want it, I need to look at those games and take them out. Sadly, I guess I could spend some extra time before the sales to do that. That would be the smart thing to do, but often these sales come up and I don't even know. Like, Steam is not good about announcing when a sale is happening. We're on the Humble Bundles. There's 5 days left on the Huni Sekai bundle. I'd still take any of those sex games for my personal collection, but certainly can't cover them on YouTube. Like, maybe one day, though. Yeah, that might be the thing, is maybe one day I'll be on a service. Maybe I'll just be on Pornhub or something and playing all the sex games that people donated over the years. Yeah, it's possible. I don't know if people really would want to watch that content, frankly. Let's see. Humble Classics Return Bundle is 12 days to go. That's brand new. And what do you get? Let's see. I think my zoom here is hurting. It can only go 125% before it starts making it too big. Broken Sword 5, Shadowrun returns. I already have Broken Sword. Tesla Effect for pay what you want. I don't believe I have Tesla Effect, so like, if you got this Humble Classics Return bundle and sent me the code for Tesla Effect, that would work great. I don't believe I have Shadowrun Returns or Shadowrun Dragonfall either. or Shadowrun Hong Kong, which you have to pay over the average of $8.53. And then you also get Wasteland 2 after that, and Age of Wonders 3, and Xenonauts. All games I'm pretty sure I don't have, but I do want. And if you pay more than $15, Dreamfall Chapters, the Final Cut Edition, I want that. Torment Tides of Numenera. I'm not sure I really want that. So, that's a good bundle. I'm still broke from buying tires, but that's the only Humble Bundle that's on right now. And if you want to support my channel and just spend $1, which is what I think you'd have to pay, and have all of that dollar potentially go to a charity like the Electronic Frontier Foundation, which is the one I support, but there's several charities. You could get me Tesla Effect and then keep the other 3 games for yourself, or you could give me the 2 other Shadowrun games and keep just Broken Sword 5 for yourself, since I already own it. Or you could give me all 4 keys and I could say, who wants Broken Sword 5 for free, and whoever tweets me first could then be given that code, because I could certainly run giveaways that way, and that's something I've been considering doing and should be doing. Alright, where are we now? 40 spells, 50 rogue cards, and I don't think we need to do a silent post show. In kind of a miracle scenario, I played the wrong 2, definitely, but there's no reason right now for me to do a silent post show. I've got one thing to do in every account: the Americas account, the European account, and the Asian account. And when we get to Friday, that will leave us with 3 things to do. And so I can just kind of take it easy. And let's face it, I'm probably fooling myself if I think I'm going to get back to Assassin's Creed today. But you know what? I think I do just need to take things more easily and not overexhaust myself. So, unless my chat is wrong, here, I'll try and reload chat. I don't think anybody has said anything for a while. Let's see. Yeah, nobody said anything. And you have to change everything from top chat to live chat. And no, if you just reload, you lose the chat completely after a while. So that's going to be it for this recording. As Tragic Master says, reloading. Period. Yep. I talked all the way through it. I guess there was enough news to talk about after all. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on basically any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below in the description box. If you like what I'm doing and want to support me, gift me a game on Steam. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.